All right, joining us right now is Quinton Singleton. He is an expert in gaming and sports betting. You've been on all sides of the operations. You've been a supplier, you've been on the operation side and the professional services side. So where do you see the future of casinos these days?
I think I see the future of casinos in terms of expanding all their products and moving across the land-based and digital space.
Yeah, because there's a lot of digital. We keep hearing that here, like everything's obviously going digital. In your opinion, what can they do to get some of those people on digital into sort of their, brick and mortar type places?
I think probably the first thing is the convergence of all the back-end tools or the casino management systems across the digital and the land-based frontier.
Yeah.
So create that seamless player experience between online mobile and accessing a slot machine or a table game. So create that for the player, and then I think you'll drive them across those two properties.
How long have you been in Vegas?
Born and raised.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you have seen this place change dramatically, and there is definitely, even just from being here the past few days, I don't think there's a shortage of people wanting to come to casinos in Las Vegas.
It's a great place. It really is, and it's always dynamic. It's still going to be the center of gaming for the foreseeable future, as far as I know.
Yeah. So I always say, how did you get involved? But if you're born here, it's sort of like in your blood almost, right?
Yeah, I grew up in the industry. So I tell people I grew up with dice in one hand and a slot machine handle in the other.
Were your parents involved in the industry too?
Yeah, so my family's been involved in the gaming industry in one way or another for about 3 generations.
Oh, wow. What'd they do?
Lawyers, accountants, operators.
For which casinos?
Well, some of them don't exist anymore. But so it was MGM, Tropicana, some of the old stuff back in the days.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what have you seen change throughout the years? Like you said, you grew up with dice in one hand and...
I think it's a couple things. I think we've seen some of the biggest changes are the expansion of gaming out of a regional empire in Las Vegas to global. And you've seen us become an exporter of gaming technology and basically how to run casinos. That's one of the biggest changes. And now the new wave, of course, is digital and bringing that back into the U.S. almost from outside because the rest of the world's been more advanced in digital than the U.S. has for a long time.
Speaking of digital, what challenges have you faced given all the different regulations, given what's going on with the DOJ Wire Act opinion? Because, it's a state-to-state thing now. So how challenging is that for someone in this industry?
I think the two most complicated pieces are technology. The pace of technology is very, very fast. When you're building it, you're developing it on a weekly basis, if not daily basis, and updating that software. So that outpaces regulation. Regulation doesn't keep up with technology, so that what it does is it slows down the industry. The second piece of that is when you're working in a heavily regulated environment, you have to build technology to the environment. And that adds another layer of complication, which can be solved for, but it's not something as readily available as uploading an app to the Apple Store and turning it on and hoping it's going to work. You have to really think about how's it going to work, how's it work with the Wire Act, how's it work with the state laws, and that all is another layer of complication that really requires you to understand the industry to be able to launch and live in the space.
Do you think that DOJ will ultimately interfere with what states are doing? Because right now they're leaving it up to the states. A lot of the states are just taking it upon themselves to make their own legislation. We saw what happened in Indiana. But do you think ultimately the DOJ could come down with a ruling that could affect even that?
The DOJ is part of the executive branch. They could make another decision or opinion. There's also an ongoing court case. So ultimately, given who the DOJ is within the ecosystem, anything they do will have an impact on the industry. We all hope that it'll be a positive one and not a negative one. But sometimes it's not. It's a question of politics.
Yeah, of course. And we were talking about this earlier because I was saying how this could affect the online world, and you're like, this will affect casinos too.
Right.
How so?
Well, depending on how you interpret the opinions, right? So if they read broadly into certain federal laws, that could impact the land-based casinos operations just as much as digital, because land-based casinos or suppliers, we're doing things interstate jackpots, interstate lotteries, online lottery, right? Social gaming, maybe less so social gaming, but nowadays everything's an interconnected network. I'm hosting a system out of Las Vegas that is servicing a customer in Pennsylvania, which is servicing someone in Canada. How does that get impacted by the decision of the DOJ?
So tons of businesses could be impacted as a result of what they do
Definitely.
in the final days and the
across
final
the
ruling.
industry.
What kind of technology do you foresee in the future of gaming?
I'm hopeful that I'm hopeful for the industry that we can move to more advanced technologies and that the regulators will agree with us doing that and keep up. And that's everything from cloud-based hosting to, more nimble applications and more nimble development. we need to make sure the regulations keep up with the pace of technology development. And you can see the gaps between unregulated gaming and regulated gaming. And when I say unregulated, I mean less regulated, social gaming or Candy Crush, things that you would play on your phone. That doesn't have the regulatory oversight that we do in the traditional gaming environment. So we have this gap between being able to go to market with products. So I'm hoping that as we progress and the worlds converge, that our regulatory environment will start to keep up, or we'll start to progress just as fast as technology is.
Anything else you wanted to tell me?
No. Besides, Play Plus is the best product there is. I love those guys.
Of course,
I love those guys.
They're the best, right?
Hats off to Play Plus. So Play Plus has actually been one of the innovations that came out of regulation. They solved the problem for the industry and have become a very successful company.
Yes.
So it's the same problem actually is that it's reoccurring in other states right now that they're going back into, or they're going to the first time and saying, look, we've already solved for this, and here's how you do it. Welcome to Play Plus.
You could be a spokesperson for Play Plus. You need
Yes.
to, right? Shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
All right, thanks, Quinton.
Yeah, sure.